Question 1. What is a responsibility that you will have as a citizen or permanent resident of the UK? D. To look after yourself and your family. If you wish to be a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you should respect and obey the law, respect the rights of others, including their right to their own opinions, treat others with fairness, look after yourself and your family, look after the area in which you live and the environment. Question 2. Is the following statement true or false? There is no place in British society for extremism or intolerance. True. There is no place in British society for extremism or intolerance. Question 3. Which of these statements is correct? B. The Industrial Revolution is the name given to the rapid development of industry that began in the 18th century. The Industrial Revolution was the rapid development of industry in Britain in the 18th and 19th centuries. Question 4. What special type of windows did many cathedrals built in the Middle Ages have? D. Stained glass. Several of the cathedrals had windows of stained glass, telling stories about the Bible and Christian saints. The glass in York Minster is a famous example. Question 5. How did Jane Seymour die? D. Following childbirth. Jane Seymour. Henry married Jane after Anne's execution. She gave Henry the son he wanted, Edward, but she died shortly after the birth. Question 6. Which two were great thinkers of the Enlightenment? A. Adam Smith. B. David Hume. Many of the great thinkers of the Enlightenment were Scottish. Adam Smith developed ideas about economics which are still referred to today. David Hume's ideas about human nature continue to influence philosophers. Question 7. Hadrian's Wall was built to keep out whom? B. The Picts. Areas of what is now Scotland were never conquered by the Romans, and the Emperor Hadrian built a wall in the north of England to keep out the Picts, ancestors of the Scottish people. Question 8. What happened to Margaret Thatcher in 1979 to make her famous in UK history? B. She became the first woman Prime Minister. Following the Conservative victory in the general election in 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first woman Prime Minister of the UK. Question 9. Sheikh Deen Mahomet opened which establishment in George Street, London in 1810? A. Hindustan Coffee House. Mahomet was born in 1759 and grew up in the Bengal region of India. He served in the Bengal army and came to Britain in 1782. He then moved to Ireland and eloped with an Irish girl called Jane Daly in 1786, returning to England at the turn of the century. In 1810 he opened the Hindustan Coffee House in George Street, London. It was the first curry house to open in Britain. Question 10. Is the statement below true or false? Richard Arkwright developed horse-driven spinning mills that used only one machine, increasing efficiency and production. True. Born in 1732, Arkwright originally trained and worked as a barber. He was able to dye hair and make wigs. When wigs became less popular, he started to work in textiles. He improved the original carding machine. Carding is the process of preparing fibers for spinning into yarn and fabric. He also developed horse-driven spinning mills that used only one machine. This increased the efficiency of production. Later, he used the steam engine to power machinery. Arkwright is particularly remembered for the efficient and profitable way that he ran his factories. Question 11. Is the statement below true or false? In the Middle Ages, England's systems of common law was established by referring to previous decisions and tradition. True. This was also a time of development in the legal system. The principle that judges are independent of the government began to be established. In England, judges developed common law by a process of precedence, that is, following previous decisions, and tradition. Question 12. What are small Scottish farms also known as? B. Crofts. A process began which became known as the Highland clearances. Many Scottish landlords destroyed individual small farms, known as crofts, to make space for large flocks of sheep and cattle. Question 13. What did Iron Age people sometimes defend? B. Hill forts. The Bronze Age was followed by the Iron Age, when people learned how to make weapons and tools out of iron. People still lived in roundhouses, grouped together into larger settlements, and sometimes defended sites called hill forts. Question 14. What were women campaigning for the right to vote known as? C. Suffragettes. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, an increasing number of women campaigned and demonstrated for greater rights and, in particular, the right to vote. They formed the women's suffrage movement and became known as suffragettes. Question 15. Is the statement below true or false? Saifuddin Mahomet was born in 1759 and grew up in the Bengal religion of India. True. Mahomet was born in 1759 and grew up in the Bengal region of India. Question 16. In 1348, a third of the populations of England, Wales, and Scotland died as a result of which plague? A. The Black Death. In 1348, a disease, probably a form of plague, came to Britain. This was known as the Black Death. 1/3 of the population of England died, and a similar proportion in Scotland and Wales. Question 17. Which event occurs each year on the third Sunday in June? C. Father's Day. Father's Day is the third Sunday in June. Children send cards or buy gifts for their fathers. Question 18. In which language was the Canterbury Tales written? A. English. British poetry is among the richest in the world. The Anglo-Saxon poem Beowulf tells of its heroes' battles against monsters and is still translated into modern English. Poems which survive from the Middle Ages include Chaucer's Canterbury Tales and a poem called Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, about one of the knights at the court of King Arthur. Question 19. What festival is celebrated on the 31st of October? B. Halloween. Halloween, the 31st of October, is an ancient festival and has roots in the pagan festival to mark the beginning of winter. Young people will often dress up in frightening costumes to play trick or treat. People give them treats to stop them playing tricks on them. A lot of people carve lanterns out of pumpkins and put a candle inside. Question 20. Which of these statements is correct? A. Murder, assault, and theft are crimes. There are many that apply in most countries, such as murder, theft, and assault. You can find out more about types of crime in the UK at www.gov.uk. Question 21. Which two things can you do to look after the environment? C. Recycle your waste. D. Walk and use public transport to get around. It's important to recycle as much of your waste as you can. Using recycled materials to make new products uses less energy and means that we do not need to extract more raw materials from the earth. Walking and using public transport to get around when you can is also a good way to protect the environment. It means that you create less pollution than when you use a car. Question 22. Which of these statements is correct? B. In the UK, organ donation is voluntary. If you register to be an organ donor, it can make it easier for your family to decide whether to donate your organs when you die. You can register to be an organ donor at www.organdonation.nhs.uk. Living people can also donate a kidney. Question 23. Who do some local councils appoint as a ceremonial leader? C. A mayor. Many local authorities appoint a mayor, who is the ceremonial leader of the council. Question 24. Who is the head of state? D. The Queen. The Queen has an important role in providing stability and continuity. While governments and prime ministers change regularly, the Queen continues as head of state. She provides a focus for national identity and pride, which was demonstrated through the celebrations of her Jubilee.